Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some more VGC analysis. This is the San Antonio Masters VGC Regional Championship Top 4, the first of two Top 4 matches. Also, I got some sick temporary face tattoos, courtesy of my coworkers if you haven't seen them already. This is Shiliang Tang versus Andrew Figueras, or Andrew Figueras versus Shiliang Tang. And before we click play on the video, we're going to swap over, and you'll notice something very interesting here. Shiliang Tang has been around for a while, at least the last couple of years, doing a lot of good work. Hartford Regional Champion, got some good top fours, 2024 Worlds, top 24. And Andrew Figueras has got a San Antonio Regional top 4, which is this tournament. This is his first top cut, at least that he reported. And he is playing against an all-timer right now in Shiliang Tang, part of the Tang gang, who has made a phenomenal team for this tournament. Now, Andrew's team here is something that it's similar to something we've already seen. It is a Koraidon team. Notably, it has some key differences. Umbreon, Inner Focus, Yawn, Moonblast, bulky Umbreon, designed to be able to tank stuff and provide a lot of utility. The Koraidon is actually loaded dice with Scale Shot, which is a very, very interesting adaptation. It's awesome that it has made it this far. You can always do some interesting stuff, even with fairly established Pokemon. And then also, one of the other unusual things is Entei. Sacred Fire, Choice Band, Sun Boosted is phenomenal damage. It has a chance to burn, has a chance to miss. Whenever you can miss, it's rough. You also have Stone Edge, chance to miss, not great. But the Terra Normal Extreme Speed can also do hella damage. You have a Cornerstone, Ogerpon, Raging Bolt, and Flutter Mane to both take use of the sun with their photosynthesis. Notably, neither of them have booster energy, so they do need the sun for those abilities to activate. Flutter Mane definitely seems to be a little bit more on the aggro side of things. Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam isn't going to provide as much utility. Raging Bolt is very aggressive here. It is going to be bulky with the Assault Vest, but Thunderclap, Thunderbolt, Draco Meteor, and Volt Switch gives it some pivot moves, but really it's going to be doing damage. And we see those 6 sunglasses going on there. Maybe Andrew's intimidation factor has something to do with it. The aviators inside, we like to see it. Now, Raging Bolt is a Terra Fairy type, which should be noted. That absolutely can come up, can be relevant. But taking a look over at Shiliang's team again, we've seen this team several times now in the top cut. Shiliang's building partner, Justin Tang, is running the exact same 6. It is an awesome team with a really complex play pattern because you have Calyrex Ice Rider with Trick Room and you have Roaring Moon with Booster Energy Tailwind. Roaring Moon setting up that Tailwind while also being a major damage threat with Acrobatics is very difficult to deal with, especially when you can bring out Landorus Incarnate, Rapid Strike Urshifu, and Ogerpon Hearthflame to all take advantage of the Tailwind and deal some massive damage out. Amoonguss for some redirection. But then you also have Calyrex Ice Rider, which is not absolute minimum speed. It does outspeed other Calyrex Ice Riders, as we have seen, or at the very least, it's been winning every single speed tie. And Amoonguss as well for that Trick Room mode. It gives the player a lot of options and a lot of flexibility in their choices, but that also means that they have more choices to make, and they have to make more of the correct ones in order to succeed with this team. So far, Shiliang and Justin Tang, both in the top 4, have been doing just that. We're seeing Shiliang here lead with Ice Rider Calyrex and Hearthflame Ogerpon, and Andrew Figueras leaves with Koraidon and Entei. Notably, the shiny Entei looks pretty good there. I'm a big fan of it. We could expect Extreme Speeds or Sacred Fires here. Notably, Hearthflame Ogerpon does have Follow Me. It could definitely direct damage away from the Calyrex, but the Calyrex is under pretty decent threat here. Now, it is Terra Fairy, so something like Scale Shot into it, could actually be a bit of a risk. Even with the loaded dice, it would just be immune to the Dragon move. Entei, though, Sacred Fire or Extreme Speed could both be pretty effective. Calyrex is tanky, but both these Pokemon are going to pack a solid punch. Koraidon, you go ahead and Terrasilize. You are Terra Fire. Notably, you can still get hit by high horsepower out of the Calyrex, which the Tang Gang's Pokemon, the Tang Gang horses do indeed have equipped. We see the Terrasilization coming out for Shiliang here. I don't know. This could be either Pokemon. It is the Hearthflame Ogerpon. This will also give Hearthflame Ogerpon a +1 to its attack thanks to Embody Aspect, which happens every time that it hits the field. So this is absolutely a threat. However, I'm not really certain who is going to be taking what damage or how much. Calyrex does protect, keeps itself on the field. Hearthflame Ogerpon is going to get hit with this Flare Blitz. It's not going to be super effective, but it's still going to do a good chunk of damage. Takes Ogerpon down to half, even though it's not very effective. The recoil chunks out Koraidon just a little bit. We see the Sacred Fire. That's going into the Calyrex slot, and it is protected. We're going to see, I imagine, an Ivy Cudgel here. I probably into the Entei. It is indeed into the Entei. Holy Jesus. Takes the Entei down to under a fifth of its HP with a not very effective Ivy Cudgel. It is +1, but that is some gosh darn damage. Calyrex gets taken out. The protect there was pretty pivotal. It kept that it kept the Entei distracted, and with that choice band, Shiliang knows exactly what move is going to get used and can anticipate it. Flare Blitz is going to go into that spiky shield, is going to take some damage off of it. Koraidon just taking a little bit of damage at a time here, and into a Landorus it does not really like to see. Sacred Fire is going to be resisted. In the sun, the choice band, Sacred Fire doesn't matter. The Landorus goes down. A one-hit KO. This Entei packs a heater of a punch. No pun intended. And with these three fire types still on the field, Andrew's taken only a little bit of damage, and this Entei is still in a very, very good spot. We know the Koraidon moves first. We know that this Ogerpon can't spiky shield again. The Follow Me comes through, but we saw it before. This Flare Blitz can just take this out unless there was a high roll before and a low roll here. And then we're going to get a Sacred Fire into the Calyrex again. Choice band boosted, sun boosted. There we go. The Ogerpon goes down. Again, another Sacred Fire. It could miss, which would be big. That would give Shiliang a chance to high horsepower here, but opted not to protect, is hoping that either there is a miss or Sacred Fire for some reason doesn't go into it, but it takes out the Calyrex Ice Rider. That's 3 Pokemon down very, very swiftly, and Andrew is in a dominating spot. Hasn't switched out a single Pokemon. Terastallized and just started attacking like there's no tomorrow. It's a single Among Us against 2 fire types. I think we know where this game is going to go. But masterfully played. Well, masterfully played in terms of you just have 2 fire types that do big damage and you can KO a lot of Pokemon. We're going to have to see how Shiliang adapts in game 2 because there's not really much to think of. You just have to be ready for that Koraidon Entei lead. So with that, let's go ahead and get into game number 2. Calyrex and Ogerpon again. The same lead for Shiliang. Likes what happened on the first turn or something like that, something along those lines, but wants to make adjustments further down the line. Andrew, obviously, if you're Andrew, you only showed your first 2 Pokemon. You might as well bring them again. It worked last time. You got a game to spare. Now, you can get a little bit trickier here. You can anticipate different moves, different things that your opponent is going to be reacting to. If they're going to be reacting to the same first turn, then you can make some changes. The Spiky Shield comes out of the Ogerpon. I'm interested to see the Calyrex goes for the Protect as well. Now what is happening, Shiliang is getting a full scout of what Andrew is likely to use. We see the Scale Shot go into the Ogerpon. It gets protected. Sacred Fire going into the Calyrex. Now Shiliang knows what the Entei is locked into and could see what Andrew was thinking up against the Ogerpon. Now, no more protects, no more spiky shields, makes things a little bit more difficult, but Shiliang can now make a little bit more of a guided judgment on what Andrew wanted to do. We're now out of that first game territory. Things are very, very different. And notably, the Koraidon did not Terastallize yet. It is still a fighting and ground type. Calyrex goes to the Terastallization. It is now a fairy type. And this could be absolutely huge depending on what Andrew went for. We know that this Ogerpon does not go down in one shot here. A Follow Me, we don't actually, I take that back. We don't know if Scale Shot takes it out. It very well could, but actually looking at the damage there, I don't think it will. I think it will take it down to about a 1/3 HP. And that means that this Calyrex can get off some damage. We're going to have to see if Entei can take out. Yeah, the defense falling as well. Doesn't matter if the speed rises. That Calyrex can get a Glacial Lance off. Almost certainly, the Sacred Fire has to go into the Ogerpon here, and Calyrex is going to be moving and grooving. Among Us can come out next. There's only single target moves right now on both these Pokemon. Actually, the Trick Room is genius. That is Shiliang using the Ogerpon and the Terastallization guarantees that the Trick Room gets set up, and now this Calyrex can move before both of these other Pokemon. At the very least, Landorus is going to be moving before the Koraidon. The Incineroar should be as well. We saw it move before Landorus last time. Landorus should be moving before it. The Entei should be, in terms of its base speed, should be faster, which lets Landorus go ham. Now, Koraidon protects, Entei cannot. Glacial Lance is going to do some damage to Entei. I don't know how much here. Depends on the training here. It does a good chunk, about a third, and Landorus gets to go ahead and throw out some damage here. Sandsear Storm has a chance to miss, but it does not. The Entei goes down, and in game number 2, Shiliang feels like he's in a very, very good position to start up a sweep. He is down an Ogerpon, but he has a Calyrex Ice that is ready and raring to go, paired with a Landorus Incarnate that can also hit his opponents who change to a resisted typing. So even if Koraidon terastallizes into a fire type, a Sandsear Storm is still going to be doing almost certainly enough damage to take it out thanks to that defense drop. Calyrex Ice can just keep clicking those Glacial Lances. If it can be the one to get any of these KOs, it's going to set up to be a sweep. Again, we've seen these horses time and time again punch out so much damage. They haven't won many, or really any of the premier events, or at least not nearly as many as we have seen Pokemon like Miraidon or Terapagos win in terms of their overall representation. And both Calyrex Ice and Calyrex Shadow, they pump out so much damage, but everyone's been so ready for them. I think now that people aren't as ready, and people like Shiliang and Justin Tang having these creative and crafty teams is giving the horses a chance to really shine here. The Glacial Lance comes through. Umbreon's bulky, but I don't know if it's going to be bulky enough for this. They both go down to a little over half HP, and the Sandsear Storm misses one, but the second one comes, or thought it said it missed. It didn't. It takes Umbreon and Raging Bolt down a little bit below a third HP, right around a corner. And the Draco Meteor is what, my apologies, the Draco Meteor from the Raging Bolt is what missed. That is absolutely massive. Now, that said, I don't know if it said into the Landorus or into the Calyrex, but whoever it missed, I am not certain that it would have taken them out. It might have taken out the Landorus. I don't know if it would have taken out the Calyrex. So, looking at this now, if you're Andrew, your Raging Bolt, your Umbreon are both going to go down to a Glacial Lance, and then you're staring down a +2 Calyrex. You don't really have the option to stall out Trick Room. There are, I believe, at least 2 more turns of it. And Shiliang withdraws the Landorus, doesn't want to risk potentially getting foul played or something along those lines, and brings the Amoonguss in. Thunderclap goes into the Calyrex, which does a significant chunk of damage, and Moonlight now on the Umbreon is going to heal it up a very, very chunky amount. However, this does mean that there's an Amoonguss on the battlefield now. Spore is an option, not against the safety goggles on the Umbreon, but Spore against the Koraidon could absolutely seal this game up. Umbreon has been known to be very, very powerful in restricted formats, but I don't know if this is the one where it's going to succeed. Koraidon comes back out. The Orichalcum Pulse activates once again. The Sunlight once again turning harsh. Very good timing on that. And if you're Koraidon here, you might just try to protect the Moonlight. Hopefully can get Umbreon through to the next turn. But notably, this Calyrex Ice Rider does have a +1 to its attack stat. It is going to be very, very hard to pin down. That said, Foul Play can do some damage, but Pollen Puff from the Amoonguss is going to make Umbreon's life that much harder. The Glacial Lance comes in now. This might just take out the Umbreon. In fact, I'm almost certain that it will completely take it out. Umbreon goes down, and it's Koraidon versus the world. Even if it wanted to terastallize, it couldn't. The Raging Bolt already went for it. And now the Twisted Dimensions do return to normal, but with an Amoonguss on the battlefield, all it's going to take is either a Trick Room into a Glacial Lance or just a Glacial Lance with a Rage Powder by its side. We're going to have to see what Shiliang goes for here. You can absolutely guarantee the win, I think, if you go for Trick Room, but I'm not certain. Flare Blitz does take the Amoonguss out, and this Koraidon is in dire, dire straits. Shiliang's going to know the calcs here, is going to know what to do. The recoil might just absolutely seal it. The Glacial Lance comes in. Koraidon goes down. And game number 2 goes over to Shiliang Tang. So we're seeing now, for the first time so far, a game number 3. Shiliang had a much, much better read on the situation this time, took the Entei down early, and so now we're going to have to see if Andrew can make a good adaptation into Shiliang's game plan in game number 3 here. I like this new little graphic. Usually they just do the slide across, but the alert is huge because we haven't had many game 3s, and there we see Andrew's adjustment. It is the Cornerstone Ogerpon putting a lot of value onto that Entei to try to make things happen. Now again, you have to be worried of both Follow Me and Spiky Shield, as well as Calyrex going for Trick Room, which right now it is not unlikely that Calyrex can still get the Trick Room up even with a double target into it, even if Andrew wants to go for the attacks. I don't know that this Ogerpon is going to go down to any of these. The Spiky Shield comes up, not the Follow Me. We have the Mind Games afoot now. It's the double protect. Once again, Shiliang scouting out these moves and making his judgment call on the next turn. Now, if you're Andrew, you have yet another answer to this Calyrex Ice Rider with your Stone Mask, your Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. That Ivy Cudgel does bricks of damage. It can absolutely delete the horse. It doesn't quite do full health all the time, depending on how the Calyrex is trained, and especially if the Terastallization takes it away from the Ice type, but a solid crit onto a Calyrex can put it into range of just about anything. And we almost certainly still have the Koraidon in the back, along with one other damaging Pokemon. So Cornerstone Ogerpon gives another answer here, and it can also do considerable damage to the Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon. The Follow Me comes in. It looks like we're going to see a very similar turn 2 to Shiliang's last game plan. The Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon, though, survives. Sacred Fire comes in. Ogerpon goes down, and now I think we're about to see another Trick Room out of this Calyrex. Very, very similar situation to the previous game, but luckily there is an Ogerpon on the field now. It's not going to be the slowest thing in the world, but it's going to be immune to Rage Powder. Landorus Incarnate comes in. This puts Entei at risk. Notably, if it wanted to, it could Terra. It is Terra normal. I don't know if that means it's going to be able to survive anything that Landorus Incarnate can throw at it. That Sheer Force Life Orb boost does some damage. Now, Calyrex is going to be sending out chip damage here. Entei doesn't take a ton from Glacial Lance. Ogerpon takes a decent chunk. Notably, it does have Sturdy as its ability. So even if it would potentially be one shot, it can make it through it. That said, Landorus Incarnate can do quite a bit to it. Andrew goes for the Spiky Shield, doesn't want to risk anything there, and is allowing Entei to just kind of bear the brunt of these attacks, taking the risk either that Entei won't get attacked and can get some good damage off, or Entei will get knocked out and and Andrew can get a safe switch in, but that is going to be an Entei that goes down in one shot. Andrew did not make the right call there, and while Ogerpon wouldn't have really enjoyed taking the Glacial Lance, it absolutely would have liked to get out some damage there. Raging Bolt comes in. We saw that it has the chance to Thunderclap, but it does not do nearly enough to Calyrex to guarantee a KO here. There has not been a Terastallization yet for Andrew. Does still have the option to Terastallize this Raging Bolt, maybe try to survive whatever is getting thrown at it from the Calyrex. The Calyrex does not have an attack boost. Landorus is the one that KO'd Entei. So luckily Andrew was able to avoid that and still get this switch in. And it looks like Andrew is going for this, might be going for this Draco Meteor. It missed in the last game, could have made a huge, huge difference to hit that Draco Meteor. And it looks like Andrew's going to go gambling again. If that can hit, if it can do that nice damage, that huge damage that Draco Meteor is known for, then that just might swing this game heavily into his favor. This is a pivotal turn here. If everything hits, if everything goes the way both players are expecting, when the dust settles, we're going to have to see who comes out on top. Glacial Lance comes in first. Ogerpon goes down to its single HP. It has to use that sturdy ability, and it stays here. Draco Meteor hits onto the Landorus, but it does not take it out. The special attack drop is brutal. The Sandseer Storm comes in and it takes out the Ogerpon. Ogerpon falls. It is going to be Raging Bolt plus whatever is in the back. And notably, Raging Bolt cannot hit this Landorus Incarnate with anything crazy. Andrew is sitting here taking his time, thinking things through. He has to try to figure out a way out of this situation. Again, for him, at the very least, the Calyrex Ice Rider didn't get an attack boost, but Koraidon is bulky, but up against a combo Sandseer Storm plus a Glacial Lance, this Koraidon is going to have a bad time. And with no significant damage on this Calyrex, it is just not looking good. And Andrew just takes the loss, accepts defeat, and Shiliang Tang is your first player moving on to the grand finals in San Antonio. A phenomenal set by Shiliang Tang. Got kind of slammed in game number 1 by just the sheer power. Sheer force is an ability. Can't use that word too many times. But the sheer power of a sun-boosted Choice Band Sacred Fire on an Entei plus a Koraidon made a smart adjustment in game number 2, and then Andrew just wasn't able to quite adjust back. Made some composition changes in the party, but just wasn't able to call the right shots to make game number 3 really swing into his favor. And Shiliang Tang played that kind of flow chart game really well. Met all the conditions to get Calyrex Trick Room in a Trick Room setting up with the Landorus in, and was just able to go to town on Andrew's side. With that, thank you so much for watching. We're going to be watching the second of the semifinals matches tomorrow, which is going to be Justin Tang versus, I'm forgetting her name, Dawei C. I hope I said that name right, man. And that game, I am hoping, is going to be another banger. Until next time, be safe, be smart, make wise decisions, and farewell.